when we went to Disneyland Paris, there and back, we saw something that very much disturbed us, didn't it?
Yeah, unfortunately it was a very similar scenario to what we've seen on the news today regarding all the illegal immigrants, or whatever you call it that, or the asylum seekers.
Well, they call them illegal immigrants.
Fleeing from their homes. Has been recorded in the newspapers, 2,200 of them, a lot of them children.
That's right. We saw one, didn't we?
Yeah, when we were on our way to Disneyland Paris, we saw a big camp of families on the side of the road. A lot of them trying to go into the Eurotunnel from Calais to England, to Dover.
A lot of them most of them are from North Africa, aren't they? And of course, Iraq, Afghanistan,
and Syria, all sorts.
Syria, where there've been a lot of fighting, of course. I mean, I know what it's like to live in a war zone, but
of course,
at least we had welfare and so on, you know, helping people, helping us.
Our main concern, the message we were trying to get across, we didn't speak out about this sooner, because it's very political, and we don't want to be seen as or branded as political crackpots or whatever.
I think we should be branded as humanitarians, actually, because these are human beings, aren't they?
Yes. We were going to report on this, what we saw, and it's highlighted it, which is why we're doing this now, this little video thing now, because we saw what we saw. It was May 23rd when we went away, and it's now end of July. And this is quite appalling. What we got told by the driver at the time, when we were on our way going through, there was lots of children there, and they it was appalling conditions. They're in a camp, and basically we're told that the mayor of France was going to boot them out and kick them out and bulldoze them out, quite literally, we got told.
And treat animals like that.
And they were going to be bulldozed out of there and kicked out of there, and they weren't wanted. The French people didn't want them there, and they weren't allowed to cross over. And our point was like, well, hang on a minute. They've been they're on the they're on the run. They're trying to survive. It's survival instincts where they were living. They couldn't live there anymore. There was a war zone going on. They couldn't stay there. They fled. Anyone would do that in your own mind. You would leave everything behind and go. And that's literally what they did. And the French authorities didn't want to know. They wouldn't do anything for them, which I found really, really sad and heartbreaking. And there've been a few deaths from where they were so desperate for survival to live. Some of them, the adults, that is, not the kids, had clambered onto the trains, the bottom of the trains, and gone along. And got killed in the process.
Yeah, they get electrocuted, don't they, brother?
The heartbreaking bit about this whole story, it breaks my heart and Pete's heart, is that...
Well, we cried over it.
I did, I cried my eyes out over it, because I thought, well, hang on a minute, what's happened to these countries, what's happened to the people in power who are dealing with all the political side of this thing, and saying they're dealing with it. Clearly they're not. Clearly everything's out of control. It needs to be dealt with as soon as possible in a humanitarian way. What's happened... What's going on? I mean, it's crazy. When we came back, the way back home, that camp had gone, and I just was in despair, thinking, my goodness me, those poor kids that were there, that they looked like they were very dirty. They're like walking around in their nappies, hiding their clothes on, and I thought, my goodness, what's happened to them?
That's right.
It all like hushed up, and I thought, well, come on. Is this the world we live in?
And then there'd be another camp somewhere else because they were so desperate. These people have got to be desperate to risk their lives like that. And there's even children, weren't there, on their own, whose families have probably got killed in a war that we supplied. Let's not forget that. We supplied the arms.
I was going to say, this gets very political, I'm afraid, because
this
isn't a political broadcast or anything like that.
No, nothing of
but
the sort.
We're just trying to get... A lot of them, we don't know exactly... There were lots of families and children from all different countries in that camp, so it's all mixed and mashed. But let's face it, it's not one little problem; it's a whole many problems boiled into one. And we're just trying to speak out and say, look, come on to the government or the governments, officials of the countries, England, France, Germany, whoever else is involved. I don't know. All of you kind of work together.
This is the scene we saw on our way to Calais to go on our magical Disneyland adventure. We were in the coach there, and you see that white fence there, that here, you see the white fence, and that is actually the railway lines behind that, and there are sections where the refugees, you can see all the refugees on the right hand side there, just wandering around because they've got squalid camps that they've made there, and they get across the road there and over there and through the water and everything, and get through the fence and run across the railway lines, and there's express trains going there. I mean, some of them, lots of them get killed trying to do that. And if there is a parked train there, or even a lorry stopped, they will actually climb underneath the train or lorry, risking their lives. They could drop off at any time because these things go quite fast, especially the trains. And for people to risk their lives as much as that, they've got to be desperate. And of course, the countries that they come from are war-torn countries. It's not their fault that they're at war, it's the politicians that have started it all. And people have said, oh yeah, well they've got mobile phones and that's that's one way of looking at it. Oh, they can't be that badly off. But you've got to remember that they may have got bombed out or anything, lost everything, and just the mobile phones in their pocket, that's all they've got in the world, and they need that to communicate with each other. So you can't criticise them for that when you've got your colour television and your stereo and your nice house and, you know, and your garden furniture and so on. I just wonder what's happened to the compassion in the world. And the Mayor of Calais is thinking of actually bulldozing. You know, we saw a little boy earlier on walking on his own. He was probably only about 8 years old. No adults with him. And I imagine probably both his parents had probably got killed in the war-savaged country where he come from, North Africa. And he would have made his way here, knowing, having been told that he can get here and he'll be safe. Can you really berate people for that? I don't think so. Nikki and I were actually crying at the sights we saw here. So, stay with us, okay? So now you see this, what do you think? I mean, you know, it's easy for us, as I said, to sit in our armchairs and say, oh, we don't give a stuff about people, we don't want any more people in this country, we're overpopulated as it is, and there's not enough to go around for everybody. But when you see this, as I said, Nikki and I were actually crying our eyes out to see the desperation that these people were in, especially when we saw that little kid on his own. And amongst the crowd there, you'll probably see there's also children. There's one over there actually. I've just spotted him. What are we going to do? You're just going to turn a blind eye to it? I don't think so. Now here you are. Look, you see the refugees there. They're just waiting for their chance to get, you know, to get onto a vehicle. And so it goes on. Actually. Now you see more refugees just waiting in desperation to try and get across the border. And as I say, they're like, it reminds me what I used to say to Shirley Williams in the 60s, that when you're poor and you haven't got anything, then you're actually frowned upon. You're treated like criminals just because you're poor or you haven't got any money or something. But you see this guy, look, you see, look at this. Look at this, see that? And he just looked to see if he could get in there, and that is pretty desperate. If some of them actually, you know, climb on the back or underneath. Desperate squalid. Look at that, hey? They don't like you filming them, but this is the conditions they're living in. See that? I mean, you know, could we just sit back and let that happen? They've nicked shopping trolleys and so on, but you know, it's not good, is it? Just let you take this in for a little while. There, look at that. That's the sort of conditions they're living in. Okay, not good, eh? Not good.
Come on to the government. or the governments, officials of the countries, England, France, Germany, whoever else is involved, I don't know. All of you kind of work together, please.
Yeah,
it'd be great.
Have some compassion.
Show some compassion and sort this problem out once and for all.
There's too many people that think, well, it's not my problem. You know, oh, I've got my own life. I'm all right, Jack. You know, get on with it. And that's the attitude that's put them in there in the first place.
To know we live in the 21st century and this is going on breaks my heart. And I always cry my eyes out that day. We were off on holiday. On a coach journey to Disneyland Paris. We had a great holiday, but that was going on in the background, and I thought, oh my goodness, you know, when's this going to end? When's this whole scenario going to change for the better? And it just keeps getting worse and worse. And the officials saying, oh, we're doing our bit, and they're all saying they're doing their bit. Well, I don't see that being dealt with, do you?
I certainly don't. No.
I'm not trying to lecture anyone here. I'm just ashamed of what I see. Would you allow your kids to be in that scenario?
Exactly. If you
no,
your kids, would you
I don't
want
think
them
you
to
would.
be saved?
So why on earth are we putting up with other people's kids?
Yeah.
It's a shame. It really is a shame, and I'm heartbroken to see it going on.
Yeah. How can anybody turn people down that are homeless, are destitute, you know, even threatened in their own country? And they're talking about, oh well, we repatrialise. No, you can't send them back because the whole thing's going to start again, and they could die if you send them back to the country.
Something needs to be done soon, really soon. And we hope and pray, which is why we're speaking that now on video to whoever's listening, for something positive to be done.
Yeah.
That's all.
Please.
Please.
In the name of
yes, please. Amen.